in now. What's your assessment of what you got? What you got up there?
First day in pads today. Uh, Probably a little. It's funny. It was a little quiet at the beginning. You could tell they were geared up for it. They relaxed as the day went on. Um, I would say the common theme between all 3 days has been high energy, um, very competitive. Good to see guys both sides of the ball making plays back and forth, um, and and high effort. I mean, the things that you would expect of a David Feely football team, they're seeing. They already know how to work. They know how to finish, and they have really taken to the new schemes well.
We were just talking to Nick Morris about all the great leaders that were on last year's defense that are gone now, Dwayne Carter and James
Right.
Franklin. How are you seeing that develop in this group? Somebody's got to fill that void.
Right.
What are you seeing in that?
But from my experience, the best way for that to happen is organically through time, which it will. I think the worst thing you can do as coaches is try to force leadership. And leadership, usually people will follow those who they believe are competent and those that they believe will care. And all the way you get that is by putting people through adversity, which is what practice gives. That's what summer conditioning gives, and we think we have the guys um, that can fulfill those roles. They may do it differently than some of the personalities on last year's team, and we would expect them to do it differently. They do it within their own personality. But I've been pleased so far with the older guys and how they've taken charge of the defense.
Coach, how important are these first few practices in setting the tone and culture building for you moving forward?
Well, it's very important. First impressions matter, not just from the players or the coaches, but from the coaches to the players. And there's always a little bit of a nuance of difference of how practice is organized and how the drills go and the tempo of which we play and all those type of things. And I have to say, to our players' credit, they've adapted very well and been highly competitive in all 3 days.
You mentioned you wanted to see how they dealt with failure, especially in these opening few days. How have they done with that, especially with all the new things being thrown at them?
It's been good. It's a play the next play mentality, which I think the tempo which we practice kind of helps. You don't have a lot of time to sit around and lick your wounds because everybody's getting lined up and we're going again. And so I've been very pleased with the mentality of our football team.
What have you seen from the quarterback so far? What stood out to you in that group?
Really good competition. All three guys are rotating with all three groups, pushing the ball down the field and letting our receivers make plays. And I think that's the thing early on that's standing out is the trust between those two groups to get the ball out there and compete for 50-50 balls. You know what I mean? And what they're being rewarded because they're seeing guys now make those plays down the field, and that'll obviously make us a lot more dangerous come the fall.
Can you speak on like your offensive line? Though, like losing Monk and Barton, it leaves a big hole. So can you talk about the offensive line?
Yeah, we're low on numbers on the offensive line. The guys that we have right now are getting a ton of reps, which is just making them better and better. Obviously, we'll have which I believe has been the case here the last couple of years. There will be new additions that will be joining our line, for the summer term. But the ones we have right now, it's our responsibility to get them better. And Jeff Nord is doing a really nice job of getting those guys to compete and really pouring into them from a fundamental standpoint and from a understanding of a scheme standpoint.
Were there any specific other position groups or players that stood out to you over the past few days?
Well, yeah, without watching the film from today. I mean, the last 2 days were just in pajamas. You know what I mean? So it's hard to assess that. But today in pads, we'll get a chance to pop the film on. But like I said, when you sit there as a head coach, you just want to see good execution. You want to see good ball, and the ability today that we had to the chance to really get some half line work, to really work on playing some run blocks, some pass rush drills. To me, the line of scrimmage is where it always starts, and I thought we got a lot of good work there today.
Speaking of that, the interception at the end of practice, West Williams picked that up.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that as far as good line play, right? Kind of makes that happen.
Yeah, well, it was a tip pass,
Yeah.
and we've been making a big point to the defense that tips and overthrows have to become interceptions. So obviously he was in the right spot there, but as normally happens, the credit on defense is usually shared between multiple people. So he had to get his name on the paper for the interception, but obviously somebody caused it, with the tip, and somebody caused it by maybe taking the quarterback off the first look. So But and obviously when we're working in a low red situation like that, then turnovers are even more profound in the way they have a chance to turn around the game and turn from a scoring standpoint.